So welcome everyone. Lovely to see you all and be together again. So welcome to this our Sunday morning class, sponsored and organized by the Insight Meditation Community of Washington and the Center for Mindful Living, which is part of IMCW. And as many of you know, had a physical space in Northwest DC in Tenleytown, but now is virtual, but a very lively and alive and dynamic community and a lovely Sangha within the larger Insight Meditation Community Sangha. So welcome to our class, and welcome if you're new. A very warm welcome to you. If you're a long timer, welcome back, everyone. I'm Hugh Byrne. I've been teaching since 2000 and teaching with IMCW since 2003. So coming up for 20 years with IMCW. And yeah, it's good. It's been good to have this way of being together throughout COVID for the last 2.5 years. And been great having people from all over the country and actually beyond the US sometimes as well, US and Canada, and just to be together. We are still planning on coming back together. I think I was going to start from once a month, but we're waiting till the conditions seem quite auspicious, and then we'll start doing that. May not be till the new year. But in the meantime, we're here together. And just in terms of the format of the class, we normally begin with an arriving meditation, about 20-minute meditation, help us settle and open to whatever is present. And then we'll have a talk, normally 25 or 30-minute talk. Then Emily will lead us in some mindful movement, and then we'll have some time for sharing, either in the full group or in breakout groups, and then we'll come back and have a shorter final sitting to finish with announcements. So it's kind of more or less what the format for the class. Good to be with everyone today, and We'll start with meditation. So taking your time, letting yourself arrive and settle. So we begin by taking our seat, taking our seat in a way where we're present, alert, in a relaxed way. So letting the attention come down into the body, sitting with the back straight, inviting the shoulders to relax, letting the chest be open so you can breathe easily. Just letting yourself arrive here, taking your seat. Feeling the contact of your body with the surface beneath you, with the chair or the cushion, your feet with the floor, your hands with your lap or your knees, or one hand touching the other. Just feeling the sensations of the body. letting the attention drop down into the body, sensations of the body, coming into awareness of your breathing. It's the body breathing, breathing in and breathing out. You might take some longer, deeper breaths to help you settle and arrive as fully as you can. Breathing in, breathing out. On the out breath, releasing, letting go of any holding, any tension, tightness. Breathing in, calming the body. Breathing out, calming the mind. And just notice what's present for you right now. See if you can make space for whatever is here. Might just scan the body and notice anything that stands out to you. And see if you can make space for what's here. Sensations of the body. Maybe there's tingling or there's pressure, hardness, coolness. Maybe there are some waves in the weather system of the emotions, the mind. Just notice how the mind is right now, if any particular mood or emotions are present. Just make space for what's here. Opening to whatever is present, whatever's coming into awareness right now. See if you can just let it come, let it be, let it go. It's with a kind attention. Just recognizing what's here, what's calling for attention, and just allowing it to be here, to come and go in its own time. Rumi, the Sufi poet, speaks of welcoming the guests. Notice what guests are coming to visit you right now. Can you meet what's here, what's coming with a welcoming attitude. See what it's like to meet what's here with acceptance, accepting that what is here is here. And if it's met with openness, can just come and go in its own time. So we don't have to hold on, we don't have to resist, we don't have to space out, can just let everything come and go, rising and passing. Can this moment be a moment of peace, of ease? And if it's not a moment of peace, just be curious about what's in the way, what's preventing it. Is there some resistance, some tightening? See if you can meet that too with kindness, befriending your experience, befriending this moment. Dorothy Hunt says, peace is this moment without judgment, this moment in the heart space where everything that is welcome. Peace is this moment without judgment, this moment in the heart space where everything that is welcome. You might see how it is to bring a quality of kindness to this moment. Friendliness, kindness. How is it to hold this moment, this experience with kindness? Bringing that heartful quality, caring, concern, compassion. And how is it to open to your experience with the lens of curiosity, just interest in what's here, and it's coming and going. If some resistance comes up, or judgment or distraction, see if you can hold that too with kindness. Make space for it. Befriend that experience too, so that everything can be included. Nothing has to be kept out. It can all come and go in its own time. And just choosing to meet it with an open heart, with kindness, with acceptance, without judgment. If it's helpful, you can use the breath as a focus or an anchor for your awareness. Just to, if you like, stabilize the attention. Let yourself be here. Letting that be a home base. And then coming back when the mind goes off. But all within this quality of welcoming, accepting, befriending your experience. This from Li Po. The birds have vanished into the sky, and now the last cloud drains away. We sit together, the mountain and me, until only the mountain remains. be helpful to come back to the question, how am I meeting this moment? How am I meeting this moment, this experience? Is it with kindness, with acceptance, with openness? Or is it with resistance, or with judgment, or with a quality of holding on? And choose the more helpful response. This from Wu Men, 10,000 flowers in spring, the moon in autumn, a cool breeze in summer, snow in winter. If your mind isn't clouded by unnecessary things, this is the best season of your life. If your mind isn't clouded by unnecessary things, this is the best season of your life. Taking your time, coming back, opening your eyes. So welcome back, everyone, and welcome if you arrived during the meditation. The theme of what I want to talk about today is a little bit of a somewhat a continuing of the meditation, or the focus of the meditation, of the welcoming our experience. I think the theme really is, what's the most important question? What's the most important question? I'm going to give some thoughts, share some thoughts about what the most important question in our practice is. Begin with really that, one of the key insights of spiritual life, spiritual practice, is, I think, that while we can't control what happens to us, or at least a lot of what happens to us, is beyond our control. We're not going to be able to control whether we die, obviously, or get old and get sick and experience losses and various things in our life, which we may find challenging. That there's limits to what we can control, and ultimately, I think, really everything is out of our control. But the one thing that we do have a great deal of effect on, you could say control in relation to, is how we respond to what the world presents, what happens to us, including what comes up of our own feelings and emotions. How we respond is within the purview of our choice and our our ability to, to choose and to respond. Probably everyone is, knows of Viktor Frankl and his very statement of, having lived through the experience of the Auschwitz concentration camp. He said one of the conclusions he draws. He said, "We always have what he called the last of the human freedoms." And he said they could take everything from us, but the last of the human freedoms, the freedom to choose our attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose our own way. That even, in the direst circumstances that we could imagine in life, we still choose how we respond. We can choose how we respond. That we can, we always have the choice. One choice is, oh no, this shouldn't be happening to me, or this shouldn't be happening. The other is to say, this is happening. This is the truth. And I'm going to bring, a different quality. I'm going to bring a quality other than resistance. So I'm going to bring kindness. I'm going to bring acceptance to the truth of this. And I'm going to, be present for this, whatever this is. Being able to choose how we respond. And I was thinking, there are a lot of qualities, elements that are really important in our practice. I've talked a lot in different times about the importance of intention, of how, knowing where we're going, knowing what matters to us is really essential. As the great philosopher Yogi Berra said, if you don't know where you're going, you'll end up someplace else, which I think is very true. If we don't know where we're going, we'll be like a cork on the, bobbling around on the water, going whichever way the water, takes us. Whereas, if we know where we're going, if we have clarity about this is important, this is where I'm going, then as Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who wrote about flow state, says, our intentions operate as magnetic fields, moving us towards what's important to us, the things that are important to us. So intentions are really important. Also, how we use our attention and where we place our attention is really important. If we place our attention on worrying or being stressed out, that's not going to be an experience, is it? It's actually a choice. If we get caught up in anxiety and worry, really what we're doing is we're having certain thoughts, and then we're tending to fuel the thoughts. We're painting a picture of, oh, this might happen. And then the tendency is to say, oh, no, this might happen. And then, creating worse scenarios, catastrophizing maybe. The Buddha said, and I've shared this before, but he said, whatever you think about and frequently ponder on, this becomes the inclination of your mind. So wherever we kind of put our mind is where we, where the mind tends to go. That becomes the inclination of the mind. So if we get into a lot of worrying, that's kind of where the mind will tend to go. That will be where it gravitates to. If we put our mind towards compassion and loving kindness and attention, then that's where our mind will go. It'll be more present, more kind, more compassionate, because that's what we're fueling. We're fueling what is helpful rather than what's unhelpful. So attention is really important. Again, Csikszentmihalyi says attention is another term he uses for it is psychic energy. It's like the energy of our psyche. It's like we're choosing where we put our psychic energy. So it's really important to put our energy, our attention, not to have our attention lost in distraction, 90% of the time, or lost in worry or fear or rumination, because that's just going to increase those qualities. That's kind of what's going to color our minds. So those two qualities, I think, are really, really important. But in some ways, I think the most important question in determining our happiness, our well-being, our freedom is, how am I meeting this moment? How am I meeting this experience? What qualities, what attitudes am I bringing to this moment? How we meet our experience really transforms our experience. That's why I think it's so essential. It actually changes our experience. The way we choose to meet our experience changes it. We tend to think that, when something, quote, bad, and put the bad in quotes, a bad thing happens, we get a health diagnosis that's a serious one. Or, a relationship comes to an end. It's been an important relationship to us. We think of those as, we can think of those as kind of solid experiences. It's like, oh, that's a really bad thing. But the reality is, how we meet that experience or those experiences really makes a huge difference in the quality of the experience itself. So if we meet a difficult experience, let's just give it a fairly neutral term, like a difficult experience, something that most people will find challenging, learning something, about their health that is serious. Oh, that for most of us is going to be, oh, this is serious. I need to pay attention to this. But if I meet that experience with, oh my God, I'm going to die. I'll be dead in this amount of time. And why did this happen to me? Life isn't fair. All the stories that the mind can create. That's going to be we're going to experience that same situation very differently than if we say, okay, yeah, this is serious. How can I meet this wisely and kindly? Can I accept this, that right now this is what's here? Can I meet my experience? Can I bring compassion to myself? Can I do what I need to do to take care of myself? So how we meet that experience. So if we meet that experience, that serious, health situation with self-compassion, with kindness, with acceptance, it's a very different experience than if we meet it with, woe is me, why is this happening to me? James Baraz teaches out at Spirit Rock in California, tells the story of, a woman, a 93-year-old woman in assisted living, and, she's given, a diagnosis of cancer, and she said, me, why me? Why now? And she's 93 years old, and it seems, it's very easy. However, wherever we are in our life, it can be challenging. But it's a very different experience if we meet what's here wholeheartedly, with kindness, without judgment. In the first situation, we're adding a second arrow, maybe a third arrow. We're adding this shouldn't be like this. We're adding resistance to the initial experience, the initial, the pain, the original pain or the difficult situation. So what we're calling, the bad situation, or something that's sad isn't so much inherently sad. It really depends on how we meet our experience. So the way we meet our experience, I think this is what I want to say, the way we meet our experience transforms our experience. So we can choose to limit our suffering. We can choose to not suffer by not adding the second arrows, not adding the resistance, not adding the denial, not adding the clinging to our experience. So just think about, this, how am I meeting this moment? What are the qualities of heart and mind that I'm bringing to this experience? That actually changes the experience. So we have the same situation, but met in this way, met wholeheartedly, met open-heartedly, met with kindness and acceptance, is a very different experience. So in meeting our life and our experience in this way, we're choosing a path of greater happiness, of greater well-being, of ultimately of greater freedom. When I think of my own experience of where I find I've got caught up in suffering of some kind, it's really, when I think about it, about a bad thing happening, a quote, bad thing happening. Oh, getting bad news about something. And much more about how I'm meeting whatever it is that's coming up. And quite often, I've experienced, it's not that something inherently bad is going on, but the mind, for some whatever reason, is, waking up in the morning and feeling, I'm not feeling good today, or not feeling great. The day isn't going well. It's almost always a story in the mind about how things are that I'm getting identified with. Rather than like this really serious thing happened, my house burned down. Okay, that's a very serious situation. But most of, the things, I think Mark Twain put it well, and probably others as well. My life has been filled with terrible misfortunes, most of which never happened. That, they're mainly things that mind creations, and that by meeting my experience without attention, without kindness, very easily, a story builds up in the mind that things aren't the way I want them to be. I don't like how things are right now. And it's not about so much a thing in itself, a bad thing happening, but more about, in a way, an unskillful relationship with my experience. So coming back to this question of how am I meeting this moment, and consciously bringing qualities of kindness, acceptance, non-judgment, non-resistance to our experience, really changes what we're experiencing. I can't actually think of a situation or experience that isn't really transformed by meeting it with kindness, with openness, with acceptance. Think of a situation in your life, in your experience, something that happened, where you felt like you were caught, or you were stuck, or it was painful, it was difficult, you were suffering. Maybe, being in a job that you don't like, and easily the mind goes to, oh God, I don't like this job, oh, it's awful, oh, am I going to have to do it for another 40 years, or whatever the story is in the mind. When we get caught up in those thoughts, or where, something's not happening that we want to have happen, I'm not, or we're worried about someone, or we're experiencing pain or discomfort. Any of these situations not made easier, more tolerable, more acceptable by being met wholeheartedly. Any of these situations not in some way more tolerable, more acceptable by the quality of heart and mind that we bring to them. Can you think of an experience that wouldn't be helped in some way, a difficult experience that wouldn't be helped in some way by bringing acceptance and kindness to the experience? I have trouble thinking about situations where the quality of the way we meet our experience doesn't have a beneficial impact on the experience itself. This is what I mean when I'm saying that it transforms our experience. The way we meet our experience transforms it. And we always have a choice about how we meet our experience. So much of our, excuse me, so much of our practice is about training ourselves, training the mind and the heart to meet our experience with this openness, with this acceptance, with this kindness. So when asking that question, how am I meeting this experience? The three qualities that I've spoken about and I emphasize a lot are kindness, the way kindness opens space around difficult experiences, kindness to ourselves, kindness to the situation, kindness to another person involved in that situation. We're bringing our heart in to allow us to hold the situation in a different way, in a perhaps more spacious way. I think, I use the term in the meditation, befriending our experience. I think that's a term I think is a really helpful one. Befriending ourselves, yes. Befriending others, yes. But also befriending difficulties. How is it to bring a quality of friendliness to a difficult situation? So kindness as really a critical element of how we meet our experience. Acceptance really is a bedrock of how we meet our experience, because if we meet our experience with resistance or with clinging, that is, without acceptance, then as the Buddha teaches, we will experience suffering. We will experience suffering in that situation because we're resisting life as it is unfolding. So if we can bring acceptance, we're really accepting life is. We don't have to, it doesn't mean we like it or we have to say it's lovely. Oh, this terrible thing that's happening is really, really wonderful. Well, no, probably it isn't really wonderful, but we can bring acceptance to it. Oh, this is how life is right now. Okay, can I meet this with openness, with acceptance? So this quality of acceptance, radical acceptance is a term Tara Brach used in her book, and the deep-rooted acceptance, not bargaining, the way we sometimes do in meditation of like, oh, this pain or this discomfort. Yeah, I'll sit with it as long as it's gone within 3 minutes, that's not acceptance, is it? It's bargaining, it's like, oh yeah, it's got to go. And we have to let go of bargaining, because bargaining will just, we're always going to be kind of, not fully accepting our experience. So acceptance, deep-rooted acceptance of our experience. And then the quality of curiosity. Curiosity is a really interesting and I think tremendously valuable quality or attitude. Because with curiosity, nothing is ever wrong. We're not making anything wrong. We're just kind of like, oh, this is interesting. This is something to be curious about. Maybe it is difficult, but what if I'm curious about it? When we bring curiosity to anger, we're actually no longer caught up in the anger. We're actually we've moved our mind state from being swept up in anger to being curious about anger. So curiosity is the quality that's really leading, or the attitude that's kind of leading us. So if we bring excuse me, if we bring curiosity to anger, we're not caught up in it. We're actually saying, oh, okay, what am I noticing? I'm noticing the tightness, the tension. I'm noticing that I'm in this fight or flight place. I'm noticing the stories in my mind about this person that's doing these bad things, and I can be, oh, I can see this, I can let it come and go. And then our experience shifts by bringing this quality of curiosity to it, stepping out of the storyline and being swept up in, say, the emotion, to being curious about it. We can be curious about boredom. If we're bored, we're kind of, oh God, this is so, heard this 100 times before, or whatever. The story in the mind and the kind of collapsing in the body. But if we bring curiosity to the boredom, then we're no longer bored, because we're now curious about the thing we call boredom. We've now shifted the mind state out of boredom into curiosity. So we can always come back and say, oh, can I be interested in this? And then when we do that, when we bring this quality of curiosity or a beginner's mind, all sorts of possibilities that open up that aren't there when we're defining our experience in a limited way. Oh, this situation is like this. This is bad. I don't like this. This shouldn't be happening. We'd be curious about it. Okay, how might this unfold? What happens when I open to this? So the most important question, how am I meeting this moment? How am I meeting this experience? You probably heard the Zen koan, the story of Yunmen, Zen masters, the teachings of a whole lifetime. And Yunmen said, an appropriate response. Everything hangs on an appropriate response. In any situation, what we're looking for in any moment is, what is an appropriate response in this situation? Which may be not the same as it was 5 minutes ago, maybe not the same as it was yesterday or in 10 minutes' time. Because conditions change, the situations changes. So we're always asking, what is a wise response? What is a compassionate response? What is an appropriate response right now? And it's helpful, in meditation, we give guidelines, bring your attention back when the mind wanders. It's a helpful guideline, but like anything else, it's not a cast iron rule. There may be situations where it's helpful for the mind to do a little bit of wandering. That might be a skillful thing to do at times. It's what's appropriate to the circumstance, what's appropriate to the conditions, the context, situation. So, what is an appropriate response? What's the most important question? Or even, what is a key question for our happiness, for our well-being? How am I meeting this moment? The more I think we can come back to this question, particularly when we get caught up in any kind of suffering, if we can ask ourselves this question, I think we'll almost always, perhaps always, find there's some unskillful relationship with the present moment. There's some way we're clinging to something that is creating our suffering or causing our suffering, causing things to be other than how we want them to be, causing unpleasantness, difficulty. So can I change the way I'm responding to meeting this moment? And if I do, if I meet it with kindness, with acceptance, without judgment, without clinging, does greater freedom come from meeting this moment wholeheartedly rather than with resistance? So I'll leave you with that question and the invitation to come back to the question, how am I meeting this moment? How am I meeting this experience? And if I'm meeting this experience with resistance or judgment, can I open and meet it with kindness, with acceptance, without judgment? So thank you for your kind attention. We're going to, Emily's going to lead us in some movement now, and then we'll come back together again in a few minutes. So thank you, Emily.
Thank you, Hugh, so much. Let me invite you to stand up and sway from foot to foot, noticing how you can then open your arms, swinging them. Feel the skin, feeling the waves of air against your skin, opening up to that sensation. And then open up wide and lifting your arms up, extending, then exhale, softening your shoulders down. And then grasp your left wrist in your right hand and extend out to the right, even tilting, shifting that left hip out to the left, breathing into your left rib cage. Exhale, soften. And then rise up, switch over, grasping your right wrist, shifting out to the right, opening your right rib cage with the breath in and softening with the exhale. And then lift up. Allow your arms to drop down and roll your shoulders. Even bending your knees for a moment. And then roll them the other way. And then draw your hands into cactus arms, holding the elbows up. Exhale, drop the hands down. Inhale, rise. Exhale, dropping them down. Inhale, rise up. Then extend your arms. Take a look over your left hand. And when you're ready, shift. Gaze to the right as you turn the right palm up. Back to the left. Back to the right. Last time to the left. To the right, drop your arms, roll your shoulders independently. And roll them the other way. Now come to center and place your hands behind your waist, pressing on your feet. Feel the energy there, and then inhale as you lift your chest up, your head. Exhale, draw your hands down below your waist, back to above your waist. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, drawing your hands down, lengthening your arms, shoulder blades engage. and back to your waist. Float your arms up. Just allow them to float, and then cross your right wrist over your left. Hold, then turn your palms together and draw that figure 8. Lovely way to open up your upper back. And go the other way. Then place the left wrist over your right and draw that figure 8 again. Little different. And then draw it the other way. Open up your hands wide, extending out. Draw your hands above your head, finding your center line, palms together. Draw them to the heart. And take a bow, everyone. Thank you for your kind attention.
Finish up today. So just take some moments to settle. Opening to all that may be present from the discussions and from the talk and from the meditation and the movement, our time together. Just bringing a quality of kindness, accepting what's present right now. Just allowing this moment, this experience to be as it is. Just holding whatever is present right now with kindness. This moment just as it is. Can this moment be a moment of peace, of ease? Just coming back, beginning again in any moment. Just this quality of remembering that when we come back, when we open to what's present, how am I meeting this moment? Then there's a door to great freedom coming from how we meet our experience. How we meet our experience is transformed by, our experience itself is transformed by how we meet it. by the quality of our heart and mind. This beloved poem by beloved poet Mary Oliver, Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert, repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese high in the clean blue air. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things.